Hello, everybody. Welcome to Townsend 909, or welcome back if you are a fantastic viewer. Today, me and Jason, the old millennial, will be reviewing the Kinks' fourth studio album, Face to Face. Uh, this was released in 1966, same year as Revolver. This was their first album uh, being banned in America, so
Yeah.
we're gonna notice a little change in their direction. Very little rock influence on this. I'll let we'll find out if we like it or not. Jason, anything you'd like to add or say before we begin?
Yeah. So from what I kind of read about the album, it sounds like Ray Davis. Well, the band was going through some trouble at the time. I forget all the things, but it seemed like Ray Davis was having some trouble. And yeah, they got banned from America to tour, anyways. And a lot going on. Ray Davis kind of takes over the writing of the album, is what I read, and I'm guessing he's the main singer of all these albums. It sounds like his voice for the most part. Definitely is kind of finding his sound, I think, as a lead singer, and a sound for the group that's unique to the group, I would say.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so this is definitely a extreme, not extreme, but I mean quite a bit of a change. I mean, I think this album sounds way different than the first album that you listen to, the Kinks, whatever. And they definitely, and this is only the fourth album, so even four albums, and they've really changed their style, I think, which is interesting.
yeah, it's interesting to see how they change on this album. I did mention in the previous two albums, especially the last album we just reviewed last week on Friday, is that there was little hints. There was like little bits and pieces of what Ray wanted to do, but since he wanted to appease the American audience with the more rockin' stuff, because you know how popular the Stones were, so he wanted to kind of be like them.
Yeah.
But then when he got banned in America, he was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do my own thing now, since I'm basically trying to appease to the UK now, and uh, little bits and pieces of UK, like there's a little bit of UK humor in these albums, a little bit
Yeah.
of UK things. There's literally a song called Afternoon Tea on one of their albums. Couldn't get any more British than that, but yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well, this is even, it says that this is a concept album of some kind, though I don't quite get the
I don't know
concept
the
part of
concept
it.
either. There is a concept on the Village Green album. There is a concept on that. Yo, hello,
Right.
Brian. Uh, yeah, there was intended plans of every song going into each other, because there's a couple of songs on this album that has sound effects in the beginning of it. It
Right.
would be like that for every song, but that sort of just got they sort of just shelved that idea. But like, there's still remnants of other songs having it. Like, well, we're gonna get into it when we review it, but yeah, it's crazy how different this sound is from their first album.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
opinion, better, because I think they were a better pop band than they were a rock band.
Yeah. Yeah.
First song on the album, Party Line.
Yeah, Party Line, a really good opener to the album, I think, because it's a very upbeat song, more, I don't know, rock song, I guess you can call it, but very good, fast paced song, very fun song. Like how it starts with the telephone ring, and then he answers, and then all of a sudden goes right into the song. Like it reminded me a little bit of like a telephone line from ELO, but he starts talking, and then all of a sudden goes right into the dun, dun, and he goes into this uh, pretty much right into it, and it is, yeah, I really like the song. I love the upbeatness of it. It's a nice, fun, catchy pop song. It's, yeah, one of my favorites on the album.
Yeah, it's a great song. I really like it too. This proves that Dave Davies can sing a great opening song, unlike "Beautiful
Okay.
Light," like that song.
Yeah.
Definitely, Dave Davies has grown as a vocalist. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
this
It sounds way better than the first album.
I think this is his first like great album as a vocalist because even on the last album, which there are some good songs that he sings on it, but I still feel like he was still trying to find his sound and his vocals. But I feel like he really gets good on this album, and I think there's a certain song on the next album called "Death of a Clown," which he wrote and sung on that song. That's one of my favorite Kinks songs. It
Uh-huh.
actually did pretty well in the UK. That song, and it was, for a short while, he was close to leaving the band. So I don't know how that would have turned out, but it's other than that. Well, I love the sound effects that they do keep in the album because, like I said, there
Yeah.
are. This is because, like I said, the whole album was going to be like this, where it was going to be like a sound effect before the song begins. It was supposed to be like, it was like supposed to be like this big concept of that, but then they just sort of
Okay.
shelved that idea. It's
Yeah.
weird. I always thought that was weird, but yeah. Next song on the album, Rosie, Won't You Please Come Home?
Yeah, it's an interesting song. This definitely kind of starts getting into kind of their new style, I guess, in a sense. And it definitely kind of shows that this album has a lot of baroqueness to it, baroque pop sound to it, starting with this song because there's a baroque piano in there throughout, and which I kind of like. I like the baroque piano. It's an interesting sound that you don't hear a lot, or I don't listen to a lot, I guess, except for Odyssey and Oracle is the big one I always think of
Oh yeah.
when it comes to that, which is a great album. It's funny. First listen, I was kind of like not really into the song because it felt like it's interesting because it's like they went for this like very slow moving pop sound in a sense, and I think that's kind of their new style. It seems like it's not upbeat pop, but it's like a little slower paced. And at first, I thought, man, it seems like such low energy in the vocals. But then on a second listen, I kind of started getting it a little better. I was like, okay, I'm kind of liking this melody. I'm kind of like the chorus here. I'm not sure who Rosie is. It's talking about Rosie come home. Your room is clean. I think he talks about or something like that. And I
Yeah.
don't know. Rosie's. I thought is Rosie a family member? And then I thought is it a girlfriend? I'm not sure. But so it's almost kind of storytelling, I guess, in there. But yeah, after the second listen, I kind of was like, yeah, I kind of like the song. It has kind of interesting sound to it. I think it's different, and yeah, I kind of like the melody overall and the style. Yeah.
I personally really enjoyed the song. Even on my first listen, I'm a sucker for the harpsichord, which that's the piano you were talking about, the
Okay,
harpsichord.
Hopscotch. Yeah, yeah.
I'm a sucker for the harpsichord.
Okay.
Even when I first heard this album, and that's probably why I really liked Odyssey and Oracle the couple of times I heard it, because I'm just a sucker for the harpsichord. It's just one of my favorite instruments. Uh, it's a great song though. I love Ray's vocals on this. Rosie, won't you please come home? Your room's clean, but no one's in it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. No one's in it. Yeah.
really good stuff. I like
Yeah.
it. It's next song on the album, which interesting enough, we're gonna be doing the Hermits soon after this series. So it's song called Dandy. I don't know if you ever heard their version of that yet.
No, I haven't. I think. Yeah, I read something about that. Like they had a bigger hit with it. I can't remember something or.
Yeah. But what do you think of the Kinks version of it?
Okay. Yeah, I thought this was an okay song. I do like it's mostly acoustic sound like they're going for a lot of this album. A couple of rock songs, but mostly acoustic. Interesting we get that chorus, dandy, dandy. Like there's kind of interesting like inflection there. But I love right after that, it's like this really cool melody that I love. It's like bum 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 ba bum bum bum, and like I was like, wow, that's like the best part of the song. It's a really catchy kind of melody part of it, and overall, yeah, I thought it was a pretty decent song.
I I think this is one of my least favorites on the album, but I still really like it. Uh, I love the way that Ray sings it. It's like ground it before you're dead. Oh, dandy, like you said, dandy. It's just
Dandy or something like that. It's like,
over the top on it. Me personally, I prefer the Hermits version of this
okay,
because this suits. Peter Noon's voice better. Well, this was written by the Kinks, but this was
Okay.
covered by them. This was used as the B side to in the UK. It was used as the B side to No Milk Today, but it
Oh,
ended up
okay.
becoming its own standalone song in the US, and it became like a pretty big hit, like you mentioned. I prefer the like I said, this suits Peter's voice better, but
Hmm.
I definitely still give a lot of respect to the original version though. Next song on the album, Too Much on My Mind.
Another song I really liked off of this album. I really like the overall melody. It's definitely another slower song, I would say, but I really, really like the melody here, and I really like the bass. The bass was like I kind of really stood out to me on this song. Um, and it did on a lot of songs actually. There once in a while I hear the bass and I go, oh, there's kind of interesting bass here. Drums also in some of the songs I thought showed up, but yeah, it's actually another top song for me.
Mick Avery is a great drummer. I will say this. I will say that he was actually the Rolling Stones' original drummer for a little bit
Okay,
before Charlie Watts came into the
before
to his
Watts.
place. So it's interesting to know. The I always thought Mick Avery was a really underrated drummer, in my opinion. Trying to look up what the name of the bassist is, so I don't look like Peter Quaife. Pete Quaife, I mean. Yeah, his bass playing gets really good on this album, and it gets really good throughout the albums that he played for the right. Like these last three albums he played with them. This album, something else, and Village Green. Great bass playing. I was a little upset when I found out he left the band after Village Green because of the low chart success that they had. I was like, oh man, was a really good bass player. I think I think the bass player that took his spot in Arthur did a good job at replacing him, but I don't think the bass playing was as good as Pete Quave's. But I don't know. Maybe if Breyer listens to both basses, he might be able to
Right.
get
No. Yeah. Breyer's really good
an
at
answer.
pointing that out.
As someone who doesn't play the bass, I prefer Pete Quave's bass playing, but I could be wrong. Next song on the album. Oh yeah, speaking of which, I love this song. I love the slowness of it. I'll say this again. I'm a sucker for the harpsichord. A lot of harpsichord
Yeah. Yeah.
playing on this. Nicky Hopkins is such a great addition to this album. He plays with obviously famously he played with the Rolling Stones and famously he played with the Who, but he also played with the Kinks since
Okay.
he's just great session man. I've always loved him. Really good stuff. Next song on the album,
Speaking of
Session.
Session Man,
Yeah, Session Man.
it is Session Man.
Goes right into that track.
Yeah. Yeah. This was a fun song. It again, has a Baroque, whatever harpsichord maybe in it. It definitely has that Baroque piano, I call it, harpsichord thing in it. Um, Talking about a musician, I guess, in the song because he does an interesting rhyme with Session Man. We talked about this yesterday.
Yeah.
It's kind of the fun part of the song to me is the um, he's a session man, a chord progression, a
Top
top
music.
musician. I think is how it goes,
It's
which is interesting way to do that. But yeah, it was a fun song.
I freaking love this song. I'm just gonna go out and say this is my favorite song on the album. It's
Okay.
just every time the song comes on, I just so fun. He's a session man, chord progression, a top musician. He's not paid to think, but play. A
I think
session man, a session man. Oh man, every time I listen to this, I just can't help but just absolutely adore this song.
mhm.
This is to me like the standout of the tracks. Like most of the time, the big hit off these albums were this is what I was trying to say before that they were more of a singles band at the time is that their bigger hits were usually the standouts on the album, but this is like one of the more hidden gems. Is like the deep cut off of it, and I think it's the easily the best track on the album. I think it just proves how great of an album band they were. That just the unknown song like this could be. I mean, even Scott agrees. This is also his favorite on the
Oh,
album.
really?
Yeah. Really good song though. I love it. Next song on the album, "Rainy Day in June."
All right, this is a big sound effect at the beginning. I mean, you really hear the thunder at this
Yeah,
one. To me, it was one of the weaker songs in the album. I thought it was a little too slow moving, a little too boring in the melody. I wasn't really getting into this one.
that's fair. I will say the best thing about the song is the big sound effect in the beginning. Again, this is like their concept of this is going to be a part of the big concept of having a sound effect before every song. But with Shell, this was one of well, there's another interesting enough. Another song on something else by the Kinks that also has a sound effect before it. A lot of fans speculate that that was recorded around this time, but I'll talk about that when we go like when we do something else. But I really do like the sound effect on this song. It's cool,
Yeah,
like sets the mood. I will say it is one of the weaker songs on the album. I still love it to death as a Kinks fan, but compared to the last two songs that came before it, it's not as strong as those two.
yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah. Next song on the album, you get a little rockin' tune called "House in the Country."
I was gonna say this was one of the few really more rock songs on the album. It's more fast paced. And it was a fine song, not my top tier song, but it was like kind of the middle for me. I do like the guitar here. I think there's some good guitar playing here on this one, which was nice to hear. You know, some difference in the album, a little variety in there. But yeah, I thought it was the okay song.
I don't think it's like them at their peak, but I really enjoy it. I love the chorus. "House in the country with a big sports car." I love the way Ray sings this song. It's just like he has so much attitude in his vocals. I didn't even really got me had that much attitude. It's just like he sounds like he's has attitude in this song, and this like
Yeah,
one of the few songs. I think this might be the only King song where he really has. Well, the only song in the '60s. Like in the '80s, he starts to get a little attitude, but I don't think none of the songs in the '60s really have as much attitude as this song does, and it's interesting to see where he would end up becoming in the '80s. So it's cool. I think it was a cool little bonus of having a little attitude, you know. And it's a pretty good way. I don't think it's a good way to end off your first side though.
yeah.
This would have been a cool opener to side one, if you ask
Oh
me.
yeah, yeah.
Like not side one, side two. Like part of one's a
Right.
great opener, but side
I
two
agree
would have
too.
been better with this. Like would have
I
opened up
agree.
with "House in the Country," you know.
Yeah,
But I'm just gonna go. I'm just going on a rant on that. But
yeah,
I like the song, but the placement on the album, not as big into it. I know what they were trying to do. Kind of, they're trying to do what they did with the first album, with how the first side one on that album ended on "You Really Got Me," and I kind of see where they were trying to do, but it doesn't fit the placement on this album. That's just a
yeah. It should have came right before Most Exclusive Residence for Sale. That would have fit in probably.
oh yeah, like switch this and the next song "Holiday in Milwaukee." Like have
Yeah,
that as that side one, and then
yeah.
side two
That'd
open
been
up with
way better.
that's just it's one of my favorite albums of all time. So it's just stupid complaints, just little nitpicks, you know. Um, Speaking of side two openers, side two opens up with "Holiday in Waaki."
This was my least favorite song on the album, I would say. We start with this ocean sound, I think, at the beginning, it sounds like to me. Another sound effect here. And even, I mean, the drum at the beginning was kind of cool. I was like, okay, we're getting something here. And then once we get into the song, I just felt like the vocals were really weak. I felt like I could barely hear the vocals over the other sounds of the song. It kind of drowned out the vocals personally, and just to me, it didn't go anywhere, I guess.
That's a fair criticism. Yeah, I don't, some albums do that. Like Between the Buttons by the Rolling Stones, my biggest hatred towards that album, they drown the hell out of Mick Jagger's vocals.
Yeah.
And for me, that's one of Jagger's best vocals on an album. Same with this song. I think it's an incredible song. I love the guitar playing on it. I love like you said, the drumming, McAvery going at it again. I agree with exactly what you said. I wouldn't say it's I wouldn't say it's a bad song, but I know you didn't say it's a bad song, but I wouldn't say it's a weaker song because of it. But just that's just I don't get it. Like when they drown out the vocalists, I've never understood when they do that. I'm like, what? Come on, But they probably had a reason for it. Ray probably had some stupid reason for doing it. I don't know. Maybe it was an accident. Maybe not. Were you listening to the mono version of this album?
Uh, they only had one version. It was like the deluxe edition. I don't know if it was mono or.
I say maybe that's for both versions because I usually listen to the mono version that has that problem. Maybe the stereo version might be better. I don't know. Yeah, it's just I agree. It's just I want this to be one of my favorites on the album, but you drown out one of my favorite like rock vocalists slash pop vocalists in the British Invasion. It's just that turns me off a little, you know.
Yeah.
Next song on the album, Most Exclusive Residence for Sale.
This was one of my favorite songs on the album. I really like this song. One of the best out of the Kinks so far. I just really love the melody on this song, and I love the chorus, the most exclusive residence for sale, or something like that, sale, or something like
Yeah,
that. It's a great chorus, and every time I get to that chorus, I'm like, oh, this is so good. Like, this is, and I think overall, it's just, I don't know, just a really complete song where I like the vocals a lot. One of the best vocal works, I think, in the album. I like the songwriting. It tells the story of like this guy who has this mansion he says he has 10 rooms in it. I'm like, that's a huge house. 10 rooms and a swimming pool. I'm like, holy cow,
yep.
this guy has, that's why it's the most exclusive residence. So it's the best house in the, I guess, in the town or whatever. And he's partying it up. He's having like parties, it sounds like. And then the next thing you know, he's in front of a judge and jury, and you're like, what happened? I'm guessing he partied too much or something. And he also, I think, kind of squandered his money. I think it talks about like on girls and stuff. So he was definitely living it up. And then he kind of got brought down at the end where he's in front of a judge and jury, and then he's in the bar drowning out his worries. And then he looks up and sees an ad for the house on sale that I think he lived in or something like that. I think that's kind of the arc of the story. So it's kind of a fun
Yeah.
story arc. I really like that. I think all the instruments are really good here. I think to me, yeah, it's maybe the most complete song in a way to me. Just instrumentally, vocally, songwriting, it all works really well, and it's a really fun song.
And it's a complete and it's a obscure song on a somewhat obscure Kinks album.
Yeah,
That's what makes it great. It's just like it's a song that like it's like one of those if you know the song It's just like one of those songs like when you know it you're like yeah, it's a great song. I agree. I love the storytelling on it. He has to pay out or me he must sell out. It's just a fun story every time. I love
yeah,
the little harmonies there.
yeah,
Ba, 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 ba. It's just
yeah.
like this is like their most Beatles sounding song, if you ask me. It's like a
Okay.
hybrid. It's like a hybrid of the Beatles and the Beach Boys.
Uh huh.
It's
Yeah.
definitely sounds like something that George Harrison would write. Like
Yeah. 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 He wrote more of
it's
these style. Yeah.
really good. I enjoy it. It's one. I don't know where it falls on my list, but you'll find out.
Mhm.
Fancy. What do you think of that song?
Fancy. Yeah. Another song that I thought was just okay in the middle of the album. It has a very interesting, I want to say, and correct me if I'm wrong in this, I don't know what sound they're going for, but it reminded me of like an Indian sound. Like,
There you go. That's the
okay.
sound we were going for. It actually has
Okay.
a guitar in it, actually, believe it or not.
It has this like, it sounds like he's like on, I don't know what guitar he's on, but he's like doing this slide on it, like it's going or something like that, which was an interesting sound that goes throughout the whole song, and you're like, huh, this is a different sound. Um, yeah, not a lot to say. I thought it was just okay song.
It's actually the sitar that they're using,
That's a star. Okay.
which Yeah, like I said, this was released around the time. This was released the same year as Revolver. So personally, I think the Kinks did better Indian influence music than the Beatles did. Uh, which I know you weren't a fan of Within You Without You, so
Yeah.
I know that won't upset you that much when I say
I'm
that.
not normally a fan of that style, I have to admit. Though I like Love You Too is not a bad song, and of course Norwegian Wood has a little bit of that, which is great. That's just a little bit of that. And then he has another one that I don't like.
Oh, The Inner Light.
Yes, Inner Light, which I'm not a fan of either.
Yeah.
But
Would you take this song over those, or kind
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah,
okay?
yeah,
So
definitely.
I don't feel bad anymore for saying that. But yeah, I think when the Kinks do the Indian influence, I think they do it better. I think they do it great. I think the Stones did it perfectly with Painted Black. Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
really good though. It's like a mixture between Jefferson Airplane and the Beatles Indian influence. So interesting combination between those two. I know that's probably what they probably weren't going for that, but that's what it sounds like to me. Next song on the album, Little Miss Queen of Darkness.
yeah. I have to say, the Kinks definitely have they love these long titles in some of their songs.
I
Uh,
know.
I was kind of noticed that when I go through the Most Exclusive Residence for Sale, Little Miss Queen of Darkness. It's like wow, they're really going for something there.
Mm.
Um, Rosie, won't you please come home? It's like a complete sentence. um, yeah, this was an interesting song. I feel like it was going for a jazzy feel, and I really liked the acoustic guitar on this song. I thought it was some of their best guitar work of the whole album because it's really that's my feelings. Like he's doing like these jazzy style uh, run riffs or whatever on the acoustic guitar, and it sounded really good. And there's even like kind of a solo in there, and then there's like this kind of interesting. I like that it went to this like drum solo you want to call it, but again, it felt like a jazzy. It was kind of slow moving. It was like dun dun dun. Then it goes and so it was a very interesting drum solo. Like it would like I would say it's not like Neil Peart good, but it was still good.
Yeah.
It's not on the level like when I say it's good, like it's not Neil Peart or John Bonham or Keith Moon good, but it's still I liked it. Like I like the style of that drum. So, anyways, overall, yeah, I really like this. Actually, it's actually, I think one of my favorite on the album.
I'm glad you like it. I enjoyed quite a bit too. Didn't quite make it into my top five. I do like Ray singing on it. Well, I met her accidentally. Really good stuff. I agree. I really like McAvery's drumming on this. I probably would put him on the same level as like Charlie Watts and Ringo Starr. Just like really good
Yeah,
drummers, but
yeah,
like top tier drummers, but like
yeah.
drummers that keep up with the pace, and do a good job. Yeah, I think this might be one of Mick Avery's best albums as a Kink, if you ask me.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, so far it's been.
Just even in general, I'd say this is one of his better albums. But yeah, really good stuff. Next song on the album, the second lead vocal from Dave Davies, "You're Looking Fine."
Yeah, I thought this was another really good song on the album. I really like the chorus. I think it's you're looking fine. Whatever I forget how it
Yeah,
goes, but
"You're
I,
looking fine."
I thought
Oh,
it was, yeah, I thought it was a real good chorus. One of the better choruses of the album. And also, I thought the guitar was really good on this song as well. I think it was one of the stronger songs on the guitar overall. So yeah, it was definitely another top notch for me.
well, I'm gonna tell you right now, if you like this song, you're gonna love "Me Till the Sunshine." That's probably because of the two songs that he wrote and sung with the sort of like is this that's another you're gonna love that song. Yeah, if you like this song, you're gonna really like that song. I think the song's amazing too. I know this is Dave Davies with attitude. Like Ray had attitude with House in the Country. This is sort of Dave's sort of answer to that with his attitude, like "You're looking Fine. Really good. Love the guitar playing too. Some of his
Yeah.
best on the album. Next song on the album, probably the bigger hit, probably the biggest song on this album, "Sunny Afternoon."
Yeah, I read that this was kind of the hit song on the album, though I don't think I've heard this before that I can remember. But it's definitely, when I heard this song, this definitely was like the most like this. If you want to know what the Kinks are, I guess to me this is like one of the songs that I point to that like sounds different from other bands of that time period. I think they definitely going for a different sound here. Like Ray Davis doesn't. I mean, again, Ray Davis was, or I'm guessing he was vocals on uh, um, I'm forgetting now. All day and all the night, and you really got me are some really good rock vocals. But I would say for most part in this album, like his vocals aren't like super powerfully strong, but yet I feel like he's going for a different. I think on purpose he's going for like a different sound, so it's not. It's a little lower key. Like I call it a little lower key uh, vocals, but it works for the band and for this album, I think. And I think it, like I said, I think it's, and this is one of the songs I when I listened to it, I was like, yeah, this is definitely, because it reminded me of the Waterloo Sunset, which I know is a song on another album that we'll get to. Um, but I don't know why the song really reminded me of that same style as Waterloo Sunset, which I really like. And so I really like the style of the song. Like I said, very low key, kind of slow moving pop, but yet it kind of really works for the band. And of course, this whole album's kind of that way. It kind of really sets them apart, I think, maybe. Not saying like it's better than anybody else, but just it's good to set yourself apart probably from other bands that are, you know, that are also doing a lot of good stuff at this time. And yeah, so yeah, this is just quintessential Kinks songs, I think, at this time. Saying that from somebody who's not a well-known Kink, person. So you can talk more about that. But I thought the harmonies in the chorus were great. Like I love the harmonies here. I'm glad you got that, and I love the melody. It had a really great melody to it, and yeah, it definitely was a highlight on the album for me.
Yeah, this is I can see why it's the biggest hit off this album. This is the song that introduced me to this album because I heard it through YouTube because I was looking up best Kink songs, and this was one of them. This was like sort of his answer to Taxman by the Beatles. I don't think it's as good as Taxman, but it's still a really good song.
Yeah, Taxman's
But
great.
it's like supposed to be like his way of saying like, yeah, stop complaining about the taxes. You're rich. Because there's a line in the song called "My girlfriend's run out with my yacht. She's taking
Yeah,
everything I've got," or something like that. Trying to view the lyrics so I can, because the lyrics on this is some of the best. The tax man's taking all my dough and left me in my stately home, lazing on his. I just can't sail my yacht. He's taking everything I've got. All I've got's this sunny afternoon. It's just like it's just good lyrics, very witty lyrics. Uh, like how am I supposed to enjoy my yacht if the tax man's taking my dough? Like not everyone has a yacht, so it's just like it's just be like a sarcastic song, but I think it works perfectly. Both I love how both George Harrison and Ray Davies both talk about taxmen this year and in '66.
yeah.
One's just blatantly saying, "Yeah, these taxes suck," and Ray Davies is just like,
Oh,
"I could care less. Us rich people shouldn't complain that much." So it's just I don't know. It's just
well, the British tax system was, man, they took a lot from you.
oh yeah, they robbed from you basically.
Yeah. So I get why you'd be upset, but yeah.
Yeah, I get it too. There's one it's like 95% is like she
Yeah,
said
95%
5% appear too
too
small.
small.
Be
Yeah.
thankful I don't take it all.
Yeah, but I don't take it all.
Witty lyrics by
One
by
for you,
Harrison.
19 for me, or something. Yeah, I forget. It's
Yeah, good lyrics by both.
oh, great.
I adore this song though. But yeah. Well, now for the album closer, I'll remember.
Yeah, really good album closer. Another one of my favorite on the album. Another one that, yeah, really great melody here. I think it's a really nice pop song. Yeah, it's funny. You just come off of, I mean, the second side I think is really good. I think compared to even the first side, and the last 3 or 4 songs really were really good. I think, and so it's a great way to, I think, end the album.
Yeah, I agree. The last four songs are great, and I think this is one of the best songs on the album. Yeah, this really, I really adore this song. This was always a standout to me, though. Uh, Now that concludes the reviewing part. What are your five favorite songs on the album?
All right, number 5, I'm going with Party Line. And I forgot to mention my favorite line I think in the whole album is he's talking about somebody on the other, and party line I think is definitely like an old term, like we don't do party lines like back in the
Hmm.
day you had a lion line I think, and then everybody else was on the same line, and that
Hmm.
was the party line. We don't do that because we got cell phones. But he says something about is she big or is she small, is she a she at all? And I was like,
I love that movie.
that made me laugh so much. I was like, oh, that was like the best line of the whole album. Like it was foreshadowing catfishing way before catfishing was like a term. Like we,
Mhm.
you didn't know what the person on the other line is. Now it's worse because on the internet you have no idea who the other person is. They
Yeah,
could
it's
be
great.
told a lie, but that was a funny line, anyways. But there's lots of like that on that. That was a fun song. But yeah, party line number 5. Number 4, I have too much on my mind. Number 3, I'll remember. And number 2, number 1, I went back and forth on this. So they were both really, really good songs. And number 2, I went with Most Exclusive Residence for Sale. And number 1, I went with Sunny Afternoon. I know it was a big hit, and for a good reason. It just felt like the most original song on the album, I guess, to the Kinks that you don't really hear from other bands, in a sense.
That's a great song. I can't complain with that one. No, I mean it's in my top five too. Number five, Sunny Afternoon, great song. Any one of these fives could be my favorite. They're just top tier Kinks songs. Number four, I'm actually gonna go with Little Queen of Darkness. I agree,
Okay.
that's a great
Yep.
song. Number three, I'm gonna go with Too Much of My Mind. Number
Okay.
two, I'll go with I'll Remember. And my
Okay.
favorite song on the album, as I mentioned earlier, is Session
Virginian
Man.
Session Man. Yeah.
What would you say is your least favorite on the album, and what would you say did just barely didn't make it to your top five?
Yeah. I said Holiday in Wakiki was my least favorite. Um, then the one that barely missed out probably was Little Miss Queen of Darkness.
Yeah. As for my least favorite song, I mentioned it. It will be Dandy. That's my least
Okay.
favorite, but
Yeah.
it's still a great song. I love that song. And the song that just barely didn't make it into my top five is Party Line, which
Okay.
I still love Party Line. That's
Yeah.
like 12 or 11 of these songs I consider S tier Kinks material. So take that as you will. And the other like three or four is like A tier Kinks material, which is also really good. So, what is your score on this album?
I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10, just like the last album, King Controversy. I would say this is about even with that last album. I like both of them, about the same. I don't know. I'd have to listen to them again to really differentiate them, but I think definitely better than the first two. And I think that definitely the overall sound is so much better. And they're also, of course, using, it feels like they're doing more in the studio, which is great. More sound effects, more, you got the harpsichord in here. So you got Baroque sound in here, which was kind of cool. So definitely doing, and I like that they're going a different direction. They do something different here. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I love to do more of these catchy pop tunes. I definitely love more than anything. Um, but yeah, it's still a solid album. I would say I wouldn't say it was a step up from the last album, but kind of an even with the last album.
That's fair. I think this is going to be well. I told this to Brian already and Adam, but this is like I'm only restricting the I'm only restricting 10 out of 10s now for my top 100 albums, and
Uh-huh.
this is one of them. So this is a 10 out of 10 for
That's
me.
still 10.
I is one of my favorite albums of all time. I just, like I said, 11 or 12 out of these songs is just top tier Kinks material. Songs that I love, would put on my Kinks playlist 9 times out of 10. There's like no weak songs on this album. There's like while I think the third album was really good, I think there was still a song or two I just what think wasn't as quite as good or should have been. Looking at you, Milk Cow Blues, just especially Milk Cow Blues, just a song that just barely edges it out from being like a perfect album. But I feel like this is like the start of something special, and the next album is an even bigger step up in their direction. It's called Something Else by the Kinks. Uh, it, I mean, this is well, it's interesting because this album I didn't even include on the '60s Essential album list. If you remember, this wasn't even on there. But the
Okay.
next album is an album that I suggested for the 50 Essentials album.
Yeah. Yeah, at least 3 of these, if not more, right?
I had Arthur.
Yeah,
I had the three next albums on the 50 Essentials albums list. So not only that, but three of these albums are my top 10 albums of all time. So
ish.
looking forward to reviewing those. But staying tuned, folks. Not next week, but hopefully the week following, we could get together and do Something Else by the Kinks.
Yep.
Well, it is going to be Something Else by the Kinks, but the album name Something Else by the Kinks.
Yeah.
They love their name.
Yeah.
They're proud of their name because they use their name a lot on their albums. Album names, I'd say. This is their first. It's funny. This is their first album not to have their name in
Yeah.
it.
Not to have the name.
Interesting.
And then they
But,
go into these really long titles where it's like, what the heck is going on?
oh yeah, it's
Like
like
the
Something Else by the Kinks.
next 3, yeah, it's like,
The
wow.
Kinks are the Village Green Preservation Society, Arthur or the Decline and
Pretty
Fall
kind
of
of
British Empire, and then Lola
Lola
versus
versus
Power Man in the Money Go Round Part
and the
One.
money.
There's not even a Part Two. I don't get the Part One part. It's like we're purposely trying to put long titles in there.
Oh yeah, they love
It's
the long
like
title.
there's no Part Two. So what's the point of having what's the point in saying Part One?
Well, yeah.
Maybe they were planning on doing a Part Two, but who knows?
Yeah.
We may never know. Thank you guys for watching the video. Had a blast covering this album. Thank you, Jason, for joining me on this video. It's a pleasure that you have a big interest in the Kinks. So far, well, I will ask this before I close out the video. What do you think of the Kinks right now, going through these first 4 albums?
Yeah, I was a little worried on the first album, but then it definitely got better, which is good. Yeah, I'm liking it. I can't say I love it yet. I'm kind of, waiting to see in the next 3 or 4 albums. See, I know that's the top of the Kinks, so I'm kind of curious to see if they kind of get into that 9 out of 10, range. I mean, so far they're not bad. I would say they're not. It was. I mean, even the first album I gave a 7, which was like generous maybe, but I would say I like it better than the Rolling Stones. Not as much as the Who or Led Zeppelin, but it's it's better than some of the stuff I've heard.
Yeah, well, as a Who fan, I like hearing that because they're my favorite. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, biases aside, like just looking at the first 4 albums, I think they started off with an okay album. Well, I thought it wasn't that good. I thought it was like a 5 out of 10. I forgot what I rated, but I remember it being a lot.
Yeah, you gave a lower rating than me the first one.
I'm like the bigger Kings fan, which is weird.
Yeah.
But it's just me being harsh sometimes. But I could be both generous, but I could be both harsh sometimes. Like I could be very harsh scorer sometimes. As for Something Else, well, not Something Else. As for Kind of Kinks, I think they start to get a little better. Still not as good as what they would do. And then King Controversy is just a great album. Not a perfect album, but it's a really great album. But then this album comes in and it's just like, we're going in a completely different direction.
Yeah.
I mean, not that it was coming out of nowhere. I mentioned, like I said, from kind of Kinks and King Controversy, it was coming, the change, but it's still, even knowing what was going to come up from it's still a little bit of an unexpected surprise hearing songs like Party Line after songs like, Till the End of the Day and Tired of Waiting for You and all that. But thank you guys for watching again. Gonna end the video for real this time. Thank you guys, and see you guys in the next video.